From the heart of America, where hard work, freedom, and faith still define who we are. From the farms to the factories, from small towns to city streets, this is the fight for the soul of our nation.
We're watching Democrats attack democracy. Do not be fooled.
The strength, the grit, the greatness of the American spirit, all right here.
The left wanted power, not peace, but there's a resistance rising. A generation saying enough, enough. We've tried it their way, and it failed.
The Steve Gruber Show with your host, Steve Gruber, starts right now.
Live from the heartland in the shadow of Detroit, good morning. Let's kick off another brand new week here on the Steve Gruber Show, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom, which always makes me ask, who do you want in your foxhole? A lot of work to do here today, so let's get to it. Here are the three big things to start this hour. Number one, President Xi in China has his top general arrested in the latest purge and counter-purge. Is the power struggle inside China becoming dire? This could be a warning of instability coming to the CCP. We'll keep an eye on that in the hours and days to come. Number two, power prices are surging, and President Trump has issued emergency declarations for at least 10 states as a result of this massive winter storm this weekend. It was minus 25 here on Saturday morning. Wicked cold here at the studios. I'll tell you about that coming up. And number three, in Minneapolis, more chaos overnight. And previously over the weekend, another anti-ICE agitator, I should say, shot and killed by ICE officers trying to conduct a targeted enforcement effort and arrest a dangerous illegal alien, who, by the way, got away. Let me tell you clearly and concisely today, one person who will never be shot by ICE, ever, me, because my mother taught me better than that. You don't confront police officers, throw bricks at them, scream at them, intervene in a lawful action. Like the vast majority of Americans, I understand the rules, but for anyone who still doesn't get it, let's go over them slowly for those in the back. First and foremost, treat law enforcement officers or agents with respect. Whether it's local, state, or federal, treat them with respect. If they're actively working to arrest someone, do not interfere. Do not rush them, push them, spit on them, or throw things at them. If you want to protest that, bring your signs, your bullhorns, your whistles, scream and holler, sure. Okay, do that. But do not engage directly with the law enforcement effort. And if you're given lawful orders, follow them. Follow them. It's pretty simple. If you follow these common sense guidelines, you're not going to get arrested or injured or worse, killed. 37-year-old Alex Preddy, a VA nurse, didn't follow these rules or listen to his parents who say they told him weeks ago. Protest, but don't engage with the police. If he had listened to his parents, he'd be alive today. But the left put him in harm's way and then martyred him because he did not listen to his mother. He was shot and killed during a scuffle with police over the weekend, and the lines are clear. Law enforcement on one side, agitators and anarchists on the other. I told you before, those antagonizing the agents want a Kent State moment. They're willing to get people killed. They are, if that advances their agenda. It's a sad state of affairs. It seems that nobody has learned the lesson. As the unruly crowds are growing overnight, busting up a hotel where they think ICE is sleeping. The police from Minneapolis standing around and doing nothing to stop it. So the tension is rising even farther. The temperature is getting hotter. The man in charge of the Border Patrol says it's a dangerous situation that could have been avoided. Here's what he said.
When politicians, community leaders, and some journalists engage in that heated rhetoric we keep talking about, when they make the choice to vilify law enforcement, calling law enforcement names like Gestapo, or using the term kidnapping, that is a choice that is made. There are actions and consequences that come from those choices. And then when someone chooses to listen to a politician, a so-called journalist, a community leader that spouted that type of vilification towards law enforcement or anything else, when you choose to listen to that, that is a choice, and there are consequences and actions there also. I think we saw that yesterday. And those actions and choices can obviously have tragic consequences.
Greg Bovino, head of the Border Patrol, facing a hostile press corps. No surprise based on what we see every day in this country. He was not concerned about the narrative. He delivered his comments without regard to the narrative they all seem to be looking for, and they were all looking for the same thing. Vino says Preddy was committing a crime before he was tragically shot. Here's more.
He was there in the scene. He was in the scene actively impeding and assaulting law enforcement to the point.
But that's not illegal. He wasn't
Dana,
impeding it. He was filming it, which is a legal thing to do in the United States of America.
Dana, let's don't freeze frame adjudicate this now. He was there for a reason, and that reason was to impede law enforcement to the point.
What evidence do you have of that?
And here's a good point, Dana, is the fact that de-escalation techniques were utilized during this action. Those de-escalation techniques, whether it was physically trying to remove them from that law enforcement scene, that active law enforcement scene in which law enforcement were going after a violent illegal alien, or the use of pepper spray, which is another de-escalation technique. Those techniques did not work.
And here's something else for you if you missed this part. On Saturday, following that, more confrontations with law enforcement. One officer lost his finger when it was bitten off. Bitten off. Permanently disfigured now because his finger was literally bitten off by one of these anarchists. The problem is those on the other side don't want to cool things down. They seem to want more of this. They want Kent State. They want it badly. They want to call federal agents Nazis, fascists, and claim it's an invasion when the agents are there to address a serious problem. That is recidivism among some of the most hardened criminals that are in this country illegally. Tim Walz is the worst governor in America. He's willing to keep ratcheting up the temperature even if it gets people killed. He doesn't care. Listen.
The way to fix this is get these folks out of here. We've continued to work with them. They asked us for these numbers. We provided them. We continue to show they're not serious. And look, I think everybody understands what the last request was, totally unrelated to anything on the voter files. This is, again, as the Attorney General said, Donald Trump telling everybody that the election was rigged, who started all this nightmare for America, has nothing to do with it. And I would just give a pro tip to the Attorney General. There's 2 million documents in the Epstein files we're still waiting on. Go ahead and work on those.
Yeah, there you go. Talk about Epstein. Where is Bill Clinton, by the way? Did he show up for that hearing to discuss Epstein? Your boy, Bill Clinton? No, of course not. But why Minneapolis and not the entire country? That guy is why. And his Attorney General. And what about police being ordered not to work or protect ICE? Local police, Minneapolis. The chief of police there dodging the question altogether. Listen.
Were you ever ordered to stand down? Have police been told not to protect ICE?
It is deeply disappointing to have anyone question and disparage the hard work of the men and women of the Minneapolis Police Department. There are 600 police officers that are left here after the destruction of the city in 2020, and they are doing an incredible job.
Stop.
About a dozen of our cops have been in.
There are only 600 police officers left in Minneapolis. Why? Because you let them get attacked back in 2020 during the summer of Floyd. He doesn't answer the question at all, by the way. He dodges it. It's going to get worse before it gets better. I mean, why would anything change? And why would you expect anything else at this point? We'll have more of the meltdown of Minneapolis after this. And X. Hey, by the way, note to everybody here. I've been doing commentary on the side on social media. Asking the people of Minnesota, the ordinary folks of Minnesota, is this really what you want? Do you want another summer of Floyd? And I got tremendous amounts of response. No, this is not what we want. Ordinary Minnesotans don't go to Minneapolis anymore. It's a lost city, according to them. And the governor there, he deployed the National Guard over the weekend for no apparent reason. He put them in reflective vests, and they were handing out pizza. I think the protesters didn't stop anything last night with the rioting overnight. And Tim Walz thinks the answer, stopping deportation efforts in Minnesota, because apparently they want these hardened criminals, Trende Aragua, child rapists, people with dual murder convictions. And he calls law enforcement Federal agents coming in, which, by the way, they did during the entire Biden administration as well. They deported more than 6,000 people from Minnesota after arresting them. He's calling law enforcement an occupation. What a jackass. I mean, just straight up jackass. Here he is.
You're allowed to decide at any point that you're not with this anymore. If you voted for this administration, heck, even if you thought Operation Metro Surge was a good idea, sounded like the thing to do a month ago, you're still allowed to look at what's happening here in Minnesota and say, this isn't what I voted for and this isn't what I want. I ask you not to stand by idly. Speak out, share what you're seeing, and urge others to put politics aside. We're no longer having a political debate, we're having a moral debate. We all want secure borders and immigration enforcement that prioritizes criminals. And I want to thank the press, especially the local press, who has done a deep dive to show that's exactly what Minnesota did.
Look, I am watching what's happening, Governor. You're an embarrassment. There's no leadership from the governor's office. You've told the Minneapolis Police Department to stand down, do not assist federal agents in apprehending the worst of the worst. You don't care. Minnesota is a joke. Billions of dollars stolen by the Somali community. Federal agents attacked and assaulted, having their fingers bitten off in the streets of your city. You're a clown, sir. An embarrassment. You should be arrested. California's senators, along with others, say they're going to vote against the spending bill when they get back to work. They're not in session today because of the snowstorm. It says he's going to vote against the spending bill so he can try to defund police. This is the most idiotic thing the Democrats have ever come up with, defund police. We want more criminals. We want child rapists and murderers and human traffickers. We want them in our communities. Well, we don't want them in our communities. We want them in your communities so we can look like good people. Virtue signaling at its worst. Listen to this garbage.
Do you stand with Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer? Will you vote against the funding bill for DHS when it comes up for a vote?
So, well, good morning, Jonathan. Good morning to all of you. And let me say a couple of things. First of all, of course, I'm against this spending bill. I was against it the moment it was, the language was made public.
Yeah. So we're going to defund police because that'll make good sense. Let the criminals run wild in Minneapolis like they've done for years now. Whether they're robbing the taxpayer or terrorizing the community, criminals from all ends of the spectrum concentrate in Minneapolis. A lot of job opportunities for criminals in Minneapolis. I find this remarkable. But time and again, there's one Democrat who has his head screwed on straight. John Fetterman, the only sensible Democrat left in the wild, it appears. He supports ICE, as he should, as they all should. Listen.
Absolutely unacceptable, terrible, awful. ICE agents are just doing their job, and I fully support that. And for me, and people in my party might, want to abolish it or treat them as criminals or anything. That's inappropriate and outrageous. ICE performs an important job for our nation.
Of course they do. John Fetterman has become the only sensible Democrat. He's actually a Democrat, not a radical leftist Antifa agitator. He's actually what a Democrat is supposed to be. ICE, by the way, not backing down from its mission. Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino says the final number for deportation in Minnesota is all of them. Listen.
People in Minnesota want to know when this surge will end. Has there been a date set? Is there a certain number of people you want to apprehend before you decide to ease the surge?
We continue to apprehend dozens, if not hundreds, of these criminal illegal aliens a day. We're going to continue conducting that mission. We're not going to put a date or a timeline to stop this mission. This mission's ongoing until there are no more of those criminal illegal aliens roaming the streets of Minneapolis.
Is there a number, though? You have to have a file.
There is a number, and it's called all of them.
All of them. Oh. So you're going to do your job despite the bizarre outbursts from the radicals. That's right. I support law enforcement. I support law enforcement. Cold out there, isn't it? If your flannel feels thin, flimsy, or worn out after one wash, you're doing it wrong. Muskox flannels are built different. Heavyweight, rugged, insanely comfortable. They're ridiculous. They're soft and perfect. These aren't fashion flannels. They're made from thick, double-brush cotton that actually holds up in cold weather, hard work, in real life. And they look even great doing it. Even better, every Muskox flannel helps support wildlife conservation. Right now, you can score $15 off when you use the code HEAVYWEIGHT. Heavyweight at GoMuskox.com. GoMuskox.com, heavyweight promo code. Stop buying weak flannels, upgrade to Muskox. And in this weather, you might need two. It was minus 25.4 degrees. Right here at the studio, Saturday morning. I thought it was wrong. We went to our phones to check. Minus 25.4 was the real deal. I'll take a break and be right back. Welcome to the work week. It's the Steve Gruber Show.